Welcome back to our series on the life of Cristiano Ronaldo. In our last episode, we saw a young, raw talent arrive at Old Trafford, handed the legendary number 7 shirt. But the journey from prodigy to icon wasn't a straight line. Today, we're diving into the tough early days, the struggles, and the controversies that forged the player we know today. Picture this: a skinny 18-year-old, used to the technical, slower-paced football of Portugal, suddenly thrown into the whirlwind of the English Premier League. This wasn't just a step up, it was a different world. The game was faster, more physical, and relentlessly demanding. Defenders were bigger, stronger, and far less forgiving. They saw this flashy kid with his step-overs and tricks as a target. Every time he got the ball, he was met with crunching tackles and a level of aggression he'd never experienced before. In those initial months, the Premier League was a brutal classroom for Ronaldo. He was frequently knocked off the ball, his dazzling dribbles often ending with him on the turf. The end product, the goals and assists that would later define him, just wasn't there yet. He beat his man 3 times only to lose the ball or send a cross into the stands. The frustration was visible on his face and in his body language. The Old Trafford crowd, while patient with their new star, would sometimes groan. Pundits and newspapers began to question Ferguson's massive investment. Was he all style and no substance? A show pony, not a workhorse? This period was incredibly challenging for Ronaldo. He was far from home, in a new country with a different culture and a notoriously gloomy climate. The pressure of that number 7 shirt weighed heavily. He was following in the footsteps of giants like George Best, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham. Living up to that legacy seemed like an impossible task for a teenager who was still finding his feet. The media's scrutiny was intense, and every misplaced pass, every failed trick, was analyzed and criticized. Adding to his on-field struggles was a growing, and frankly, damaging reputation. Ronaldo was quickly labeled a diver. Now, let's be clear. Was he fouled a lot? Absolutely. His quick feet and desire to take on defenders meant he was a constant target, but his reaction to contact was often theatrical. He would go down easily, sometimes with an exaggerated roll or a cry of anguish that didn't seem to match the challenge. This infuriated opposing players, managers, and especially the fans. Every stadium he visited, he was greeted with a chorus of boos and jeers. The English football culture at the time had a very specific, almost puritanical view of sportsmanship. Going to ground easily was seen as cheating, a sign of weakness. The tabloids had a field day, plastering his face on the back pages with unflattering headlines. The diver tag stuck to him like glue, and it created a narrative that he was soft, petulant, and dishonest. This wasn't just criticism of his game, it was an attack on his character. This constant wave of negativity would have broken many young players. Imagine being a teenager, booed by tens of thousands of people every single week, your every move scrutinized for any hint of simulation. It was a trial by fire. Ronaldo felt isolated and misunderstood. He was trying to adapt his game, but his natural flair was being misinterpreted. The frustration built up, sometimes boiling over on the pitch. He'd argue with referees, get into confrontations with opponents, and his youthful petulance would shine through. But this is where the genius of Sir Alex Ferguson truly came into play. Ferguson saw beyond the step-overs and the diving accusations. He saw a kid with an unparalleled work ethic and a burning desire to be the best. He knew that raw talent needed to be molded, not broken. Ferguson became more than a manager. He was a mentor, a protector, and a father figure. When the media attacked Ronaldo, Ferguson would launch a staunch defense in his press conferences, deflecting the criticism and shielding his young star. He pulled Ronaldo aside in training, not to scold him, but to educate him. He explained the nature of English football, the mindset of the defenders, and the perception of the fans. He didn't tell him to stop dribbling or to abandon his flair. Instead, he taught him when to use it effectively. He told him, "You've got to be stronger. You've got to learn to ride the tackles. And you've got to make the right decision. When do you pass? When do you shoot? When do you take the man on?" The coaching staff, led by Carlos Queiroz, who had been instrumental in bringing Ronaldo to United, also played a crucial role. They designed specific training drills to improve his decision-making in the final third. They worked relentlessly on his physical conditioning. The skinny teenager who arrived in Manchester began a remarkable physical transformation. He spent countless extra hours in the gym, building muscle, strength, and resilience. He wasn't just trying to become a better footballer. He was trying to build a body that could withstand the brutality of the Premier League. His senior teammates were also vital. Players like Roy Keane, Gary Neville, and Ruud van Nistelrooy were old-school professionals. They were tough, demanding, and had little time for showboating without an end product. They would get on his case in training, shouting at him for holding onto the ball too long or for not tracking back. It was tough love, a harsh but necessary education. They were teaching him that at Manchester United, the team always comes first. Individual brilliance was welcome, but only if it served the collective goal. Ronaldo, to his immense credit, listened. He absorbed everything. He might have been frustrated, but he was never defiant. He channeled all the criticism, all the boos, all the negativity into fuel for his ambition. He was the first to arrive at the training ground and the last to leave. He'd stay behind after every session, practicing free kicks, working on his crossing, and honing his finishing with both feet. He was obsessed with self-improvement. Slowly but surely, the transformation began. He started to understand when to release the ball. He began to add goals and assists to his game. His decision-making improved dramatically. He learned to use his pace and power more effectively, not just his skill. He was still getting fouled, but he was staying on his feet more, riding the challenges and using his newfound strength to hold off defenders. The show pony was becoming a thoroughbred racehorse. The Old Trafford faithful saw the change. They saw the hard work, the dedication, and the tangible results on the pitch. The groans of frustration turned into roars of anticipation every time he got the ball. They began to understand that they weren't just witnessing a flashy winger. They were witnessing the evolution of a truly special talent. The accusations of diving never fully went away, but they were increasingly drowned out by the sound of his goals hitting the back of the net. He was turning the jeers of opposing fans into a badge of honor, a sign that they feared him. These early years of struggle were the crucible that forged Cristiano Ronaldo. He learned resilience, mental fortitude, and the importance of substance over style. He overcame the physical demands of a new league, the intense media pressure, and the personal attacks on his character. It was a period that could have defined him as a failure, a what-if story. Instead, it became the foundation upon which he would build his empire. He wasn't just surviving, he was adapting, evolving, and getting ready to take over the world. Join us next time as we explore Ronaldo's breakthrough seasons, where he finally explodes from a promising talent into an unstoppable force of nature, leading Manchester United to glory and claiming his place among the world's elite. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode.